Square Media Station.
WTUG HD2 Northport. W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9. Streaming on the Tide WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. A Town Square Media Station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling. We're also live on the radio network at Martin Houston Speaks under Facebook and YouTube, as well as Twitter under the username M Houston Speaks. Also, you can follow X's and O's Sports. We are ready to get things going. I want to remind you that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. We got a great show lined up for you, and so as you go throughout today, tell them what you heard right here on the Martin Houston Show, and then be the difference you want to see in the world today. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, and be the difference, guys, and be the difference right here on the Martin Houston Show to get things started this morning. All right. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. And as said, this is the Martin Houston Show, Martin and Xavier Show. The playbook today is wide open, but we do have a couple things that we want to get to on today with looking at a couple things from the weekend. How good is this Bama team, the basketball team? You know, how good are they? We saw some really, really good things, and I followed Joe this morning. I mean, not this morning, but followed Joe on the Twitter feed, and I think Joe was. I'm not sure, but I think Joe may have had as much fun at this game as any sporting event I have seen him, just from following his feed. So we'll get Joe the insight there as he was actually in the Coliseum there with the Crimson Tide as they got a historical win. And you know, you may say, well, the team that beat is not as good. It does not matter, in my opinion. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what's next for Bama football. Several things up on the docket there in terms of what's next for Bama football. In terms of coaching changes, we're still waiting there. Some news and some different things started to hit the press on Friday. We'll follow up and see if there's any more things coming down the pipe there. What do you think Nick Saban does in that scenario, as well as looking at the college football playoff game tonight? Does TCU have a chance? 4 weeks ago, when the season ended, I had a vision of how far off Alabama was when it came to football versus Georgia, because Georgia has established itself as the new standard, and we said that all year. And when you really go back and look at it, do you still feel that the gap is as big after watching Ohio State play against Georgia? And so we'll talk about that because I feel better. I can tell you, I feel much better sitting here behind this mic than I did as Alabama won their last game, regular season game against Auburn. I feel much better today than I did then. So we'll talk about all of that. And hey, you may have something you want to bring to the table, may have heard something, saw something, wanted to bring up something. You're always welcome to do that because this is the Martin Houston Show. Martin and Xavier, the sound of Bama Sports. Your show, your team. Let us hear from you this morning. Well, X, you and the whole world out there have jumped on the bandwagon with the theme that Bama is a basketball school. What's your thoughts in terms of what you saw Saturday about this basketball team?
Oh man, this basketball team, everybody's going to talk, oh, well, Kentucky's not Kentucky. Well, I would argue Alabama wasn't Alabama in football this year, but I didn't see Tennessee fans or LSU fans or football fans in general not celebrating Alabama losing those two games any less this year. So I'm going to do the same when it comes to Kentucky and basketball. Kentucky has been the standard in the SEC, the blue blood of the SEC, and Alabama went out there and had complete control of that game. It was a little tight towards the end of the first half, and then Alabama just closed out the final minute with a quick 6 points, a three-pointer, and a 3-point play from the free throw line. But just to get out in that second half and, with a young team, not falter, not let the moment get too big, no matter what you feel about the other team, but to finish that game the way that they did was really impressive, man. Brandon Miller had some highlight plays. Mark Sears, man, that guy just plays hard. And as we've talked about it, Javon Quinterly has really cleaned up his game, and you're seeing the impact that it's having on this team. I was very impressed by Nate O's team on Saturday.
Joe, what were your thoughts? Did I nail it, Joe? That was one of the funnest sporting events you've been at since you've moved behind the desk at Tide 100.9.
Yeah, I think I didn't really put that into context until you just said that, but I thought, yeah, I think I did have I mean, Saturday was a blast. Saturday was so much fun. I have a hard time keeping my Alabama basketball fan in check and so I was really enjoying what I saw, and I think X nailed a lot of big points. You have really good defensive effort. You come out and really set the tone with Bediako's taking it to Shibwe, and you get up to 8-0 run, and really just kind of it starts off from there. And Kentucky, you give Kentucky some credit. They dug into the middle 8 minutes of the first half to get it back close. They got it back to 1 point a couple of different times, but the last 5 minutes of the half, Alabama, just like X said, closed out strong and went into the locker room with an 11-point lead and really just kicked their butts in the second half. Just took the second half, and really you love to see that because the game prior against Ole Miss, Alabama went in with a really good first half lead, but kind of sleptwalked through the second half. And you like to see Alabama, you like to see Nate Oates and the team kind of keep that pedal to the floor in the second half. It seems like they learned a good lesson already from game to game.
Yeah, Joe, I think your favorite tweet for me was, boy, having a hard time keeping my media hat on watching this game. I don't see how you.
Brandon Miller had a dunk right in front of us. I think that was in the second half. It was just a couple of huge plays that the atmosphere was really good inside Coleman Coliseum, and really, Martin, you've been in there. I guess when Kentucky's been in town. Usually, when Kentucky's in town, there's a lot of blue in there, and really, there wasn't on Saturday. So I was really impressed with Alabama fans as a whole buying up the tickets, not letting the Big Blue fans, get them on the secondary market, and really showing out for Alabama on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch that game. We can jump into a couple things, but when I looked at that game, man, I'm gonna tell you, they did all the talk about the returning Naismith winner, and of course that's the basketball version of the Heisman, and that he's never been out rebounded in a game. In any game he's played in, he's never been out rebounded, and Bediako took the challenge to heart and was standing his own, and then just the help defense was just unbelievable. But it was fun to watch this team, and X hit it when we start saying how good can this Bama team be. It's gonna be, turnovers are a part of their style of play, but it doesn't have to be careless turnovers. And so they were able to really do a better job in the turnover category and things like that. Only allowing, let me see how many, I think got 2 points off of turnovers. Kentucky got 2 points off of turnovers. So when Bama is holding the team in check in that manner, Joe, this team is going to be tough to beat. We said if they could get 10 to 12, they only had 9. Just an all-around good game. Only thing I would say is down the stretch, and I know it was, but go ahead and put your foot on their neck. Free throws faltered down the stretch, but in the first half shot almost 76.5% in free throws, and had a margin of 18 of 26 to only 5 of 8 for Kentucky, Joe, and X. And that just, to me, you keep that Kentucky team off the glass, off the free throw line, things like that, you've got a really good chance. I want to talk a little bit specifically about a couple of things with the basketball program. Bediako, how improved is he? And even though we have all of these great things, does his play determine whether or not we can get down the stretch? With all the new guys, let me say this. Let me say it a different way. With all of that we have, will it be 2 of the returning guys in their play, Bediako and Quinterly? Will that be the difference in whether or not this team can make a deep run that we're thinking? Then just walk away with maybe a good, bad, ugly takeaway. We'll get that on the other side. And then one last question for you to think about. And maybe it was because it's just Bama basketball, but how did it make you feel when they were all in at times on the broadcast talking about Nate Oates heading out to Texas? Did that make you feel any kind of way? So we'll talk about that and more. We'll open up the phone lines to get calls in. And, of course, hey, y'all hang in there as Bama football fans. We'll be back with a little football before the show's over, and we'll talk a little Georgia TCU as well, because there's big news circling around the Alabama football program. So we'll talk about that and more right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks and things pretty quiet on the roadways as we start our Monday morning. Everything looking good. If you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a great deal right now for your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan, Tuscaloosa. I'm Captain Ray.
At the Home Depot, you can find appliances for your kitchen and laundry, all with the latest technologies. Find savings when you shop online and on the Home Depot app. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
And it's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us. The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
Football is back, and no one does it better than the Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. This season, you can watch the games with nothing on the line. Boring. Or you can make a play in the starting lineup. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino puts you into the big plays with big bets and big wins, making every game more exciting than ever. It's time for the sports glory you deserve without breaking a sweat. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game. Must be 21.
How far would you go for your child if they were hurt? How hard would you fight for them? I've been through it. I know that a fighter is what you need. That's why I called Stephen Mesrano, and I'm so glad I did. He was truly able to handle the case after talking to other attorneys better than anybody. I can't say enough good stuff, and highly recommend that you call Stephen Mesrano now at 206-6300 because he's going to fight for you and your family. 206-6300 for Stephen Mesrano.
See America in your new Burton Campers RV. Be certain with Burton. Burton Campers at exit 231 on I-65 in Calera. Nobody sells RVs for less.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather cool and dry today. Lots of sunshine, the high 57. Clear tonight with the low at 33. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the sky partly to mostly sunny both days with a warming trend. The high tomorrow is 64, Wednesday's high 67. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 39 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmarkdesign.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Woo! Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Man, a great show lined up for you. Great hoops, Bama hoops. How good is this Bama team? Can they make it to the Final Four? Can they bring back a national championship? Will their biggest hurdle be getting through the SEC? Curtis Lewis saying Bama's biggest challenge is going to be Tennessee. Will it be the same scenario as what we've seen in football? If you get through the SEC, you can get to the Final Four in the championship. Remember, Alabama won. Great credit card challenge going on right now. If you want looking to get a credit card, most of us out there have some version of a credit card. So we're challenging you to look in your wallet and see what's the rate you're paying and accept the challenge. Alabama's variable rate credit card, 10.99 average starting low rate, I should say. The average variable credit card out there, when we looked at all of our competitors, the average is 19.2, almost a 10-point difference, which means almost double the amount of interest in a $5,000 balance over a 36-month period. Go check it out at alabama1.org. You can see all that information and also see all the great rewards. Want a lower rate, a better card with great benefits? Apply now at alabama1.org or stop by one of our branch locations, and Alabama One will assist you. Alabama One together. What's your one? All right, let's keep things rolling this morning, guys. Lots of conversation to get to. Let's get to Chuck. Chuck Hunt, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning to you all. And interesting conversation. It's something you talk about the Alabama-Kentucky basketball game. You talk about the connection to Alabama and Kentucky. Think about how, I always had to bring the history part into it. So I talking about C.M. Newton, who's a alumnus of that school that you all beat. He played for the legendary Adolph Rupp, and he was athletic director there. I know after he left Bama, he went to Vanderbilt and he was athletic director at his alma mater. And but I think about that's why I started having to start thinking about Newton, how he built that Bama program, and thinking about Wimp Sanderson and all those guys, and look at what Nate Oates has done. He's really brought that program around, and it's constantly it's going to get even better. And also my reason for calling, I remember on Friday you can get around to it, for the tonight's national championship game. That you're saying that out there in Inglewood, California, there's no tailgating out there. I can see why that's happening because you go in those cities like Los Angeles, you go in the cities in that part of the country. They don't put like us down here with sports and, tailgating, that's a big thing down here in the South. But you out there in Los Angeles and those different cities, they have those strong ordinances and in place. And that can kind of, I'm looking through my lens. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. Don't quote me on this, but I was thinking that's probably what's going on, that they have those strong ordinances. I've been to Los Angeles twice, and there are things you can do and you cannot do. And they take it seriously.
Yeah, well, yeah, and thanks, Chuck, for that. But you look at the hoop side of things, of what you said. They have, without a doubt, the basketball and C.M. Newton and the connection there. But this was one of the biggest victories, whether Kentucky's up or down, in terms of hoops, as Alabama got a historic win, largest win over a Kentucky team. And when Bama was off their standard, they lost 2 games on the last play in regulation and overtime. Kentucky's off their game and they get beat by almost 30 points. And I think Joe, you tweeted this out. Bama scored, how many points was it, Joe, in the last 5 minutes of the game, and still won by 26 or 28, whatever it was?
Oh gosh,
I think
Alabama kept the pedal down. I mean, they kept scoring.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think
I think it was 6 points. I think that we scored 6 down the stretch. And down the stretch, our offense wasn't going, but our defense didn't let up. And it really, I was hoping we kept them under 50. They got that last second shot off with I think 1 or 2 seconds left and got a 3. That's what put them over the 50 mark. But also, as far as the tailgating out there, the NCAA should have known better. They should have known that. And to me, when you host someone, you make your guests feel welcome, right? X?
I agree.
Oh, completely agree. Yeah, when I saw that, I thought that was very interesting. But that's also just the standard for the area. But there's some other issues LA has that they don't seem to be dealing with, but you can't tailgate. Come on now.
Well, it's not even just tailgate. I had someone else. Thanks, Chuck. I had someone else send me something that said you can take care. Even bring RVs in. So it's not just tailgating. So to me, it's just crazy to think that you're bringing one of the biggest college games, and tailgating is bigger at the college level, in my opinion, than it is the pro game anyway, because a lot of times college games are about reunions and people getting back together and fellowshipping with old friends and stuff. That's what makes tailgating the college game so much better. Robert from Mobile, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys.
Hey, now, been a while, man. You still good?
Oh, yeah. Well, during the holidays, I'm off work, which means I don't have to get up as early.
I get it.
Well, I do have to admit that I had to eat my word on TCU about them being fool's gold. It's like, wow, I can't believe they actually managed to beat Michigan. That wouldn't be something that somehow found a way to beat Georgia. That would just be one of the biggest upsets in the recent memory in college football. in the history of college football. What's
Hey,
the
Robert,
spread?
let me ask you this, because you're I don't know if you and I are same age, but I think we kind of grew up, and I know Curtis out there and I at least probably have we're old enough to have live memories of all the conversation around the game. Is this TCU team being looked at as any different than the '92 Alabama team against Miami?
I kind of think they're more disrespected than '92 Alabama team. I would say they're more. Actually, they're more disrespect. I think they're more people expecting to win even less. You know, Alabama at least had a pedigree to fall on, as in, okay, hey, this is still Alabama. You know, I know we're all saying Miami recent history. They had so many dynasty and the recent big wins, but it's still Alabama we're talking about here. You don't have that with TCU. It's like, well, okay, you're just TCU. You know, you really shouldn't even be here. Type attitude.
But as far as the conversation, let me remind you. Remember, they were saying Alabama didn't deserve to be there.
Right.
What you call it was going for their third straight championship, not second, but third straight. Had won 28 in a row. We had not won anything since Bryant. So there was a lot of questioning. The thing that we had that they didn't have is that we had been on that mountaintop before. But from a player standpoint, I can tell you, I feel, and I said this 2 weeks ago before TCU played Michigan. I said, man, this TCU team just reminds me so much of that team, because they just everybody keeps discounting them and saying they don't, but somehow they've managed to win. So and they just keep winning, and you keep saying it's luck, and they don't deserve to be there. And we almost got leaped by Florida State, who had been beaten by Miami before already in that year, just because of the lack of respect. Now, you're right, though. We did have a few things that they don't have, but it would be interesting. And Curtis Lewis has the best response I think I've seen. If TCU beats Georgia, I'm buying a pair of purple underwear. Hey, Curtis, Robert, what else you got, man? What else you got? We got a couple of the calls lining up. So what you got?
It's just such mixed emotion as usual when you're not watching Alabama play. You want the SEC to win, but it's usually a rival of us that's in there. so you can't. It's kind of really hard to root for them entirely. But I'm a little mixed because Georgia already won. So do I really want this? I mean, SEC can afford to lose this one. But when the game started, I'll be all SEC again. But okay, we're good. Catch up with you guys.
Yeah, good to catch up with you guys. To have you back. And hey, X, I have mixed emotion, X, on this. Do I pull for Georgia as an SEC so I really do have. I'm using an SEC all the way guy, but I'm not sure that I'm all in on Georgia winning this. To me, going into the 12-team playoff, let me ask both of you this, and then we'll bring Pat in. Joe, I'll let you go first. Joe, is the best thing that could have happened with them making the decision to go to the 12 teams that TCU gets in, shows they deserve to be in, and they fool around and win, or at least just make this a close game? Does that help college football and excitement when you start talking about 12 teams?
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. I think that isolated, but then you also want you also look at what happened in the Cotton Bowl, Tulane beating USC. Yep. You look at really Tennessee being able to put on a good performance even without Hendon Hooker. Alabama being able to put on a good performance. I think that you've seen in this bowl season that you may have more than four teams worthy of competing for that championship.
And we would not, and you and I have talked. I've wanted to get more teams, but I was thinking 6. But with the transfer portal, X, I believe that this makes the 12-team playoff much more interesting, because I believe year in and year out, you're going to see teams be able to have good teams. Now, there's still going to be some programs that's going to be better in there every year. But with that said, it makes it very interesting, X.
Yeah, I definitely think that the 12-team playoff is going to make things very interesting. And you've seen, as Joe stated, you have Tulane winning. You had Cincinnati last year in the Final Four. So you're seeing teams that are not traditional blue bloods or traditional top 10 teams come in and compete and win some of these games. And the more you add, the more competitive it's going to be. And I hate to break this to everybody, but somebody made a breakdown of the top 4 teams since the start of if we had the CFP at the start of the BCS since 2009. Y'all realize that 4 teams, or 2008 with 4 teams, Bama's in all but two years. And then if you add the 12, they've been in every year since it. So people have to realize that's the other side of it. You're going to get teams that are barely missing it because it was 2 teams or now 4 teams that are going to be in every year.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And Curtis Lewis says South Dakota State beat North Dakota State twice this year, so anything can happen. There you go, right? But we're going to get Pat on the other side. Pat, we'll get you in on the other side as we go to break here. The whole thing I love is the portal is a game changer, I think, in terms of teams. And if you watch the NFL this week, man, you can see teams can get off to a good roll, get off to a good start. And you look at what the Jags did down the stretch to get into the playoffs. And one team you don't want to be playing that barely made it to the playoffs, I'm not even sure they have a winning record, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if you get in, you can win. If you don't get in, you can't win it. And TCU is in, so they do have a chance. We'll talk more. We got several callers to get to. So we'll get to you guys as well. But I'll say this, and you guys ponder on this for a moment. With what happened with the way Bama played, with the way Georgia played, because no one's talked about this. Ohio State took Georgia to the brink of missing a field goal to win the game. They didn't have their number 1 wide receiver. They lost their number 2, which was their number 1 going into that game, and they didn't have their number 1 running back. And they took them to the brink, and it took a heroic effort by their 6-year quarterback who balled out in the fourth quarter to win that game. Is the gap as big as we thought it was? Is the standard as far from what Bama had set? Or is the standard Georgia, but is that standard lower than what Alabama had only a year or so ago? So we can talk about that. We can talk about the specifics of the game tonight, and we can talk about anything else that you may want to bring into the conversation. Listen to the Martin Houston Show, and we're able to do it each and every day because we got great sponsors like Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value under the biggest cactus in town. Go check them out for lunch or dinner. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Townsquare comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about that sound? You're listening to a set of GE appliances, complete with all you need to keep food fresh, dishes clean, and everything else stress-free, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. Get to 25% off select GE appliances right now. Offer valid January 5th through January 25th, 2023. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
As a Walgreens pharmacist, I talk with people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling their Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using Refill by Scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, we got you, with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. Fill your way and save at walgreens.com/Medicare. See pharmacists for restrictions and exclusions.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. So as we were going into the break, we were talking about Georgia versus TCU. And, honestly, how I'm feeling about it is, yes, I'm SEC first. But, Stetson Bennett had his, Cinderella storybook run. And for some reason, I think it's Max Duggan's turn. And I think he's going to somehow will this TCU team to a win tonight. We talk about how Stetson has been an impact on the Georgia Bulldogs and his play, but you can't ignore or negate what Max has meant to his team. Even though they lost the Big 12 championship game, you talk about that performance, willing his team to win, and honestly kind of got a little cheated with that goal line stand that cost him the championship. But I for some reason feel like it's going to be TCU's night tonight. But we'll get to Pat on the Alabama One hotline. Pat, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, X. Morning.
Good morning.
Man, I get mixed emotions about this thing. I think I kind of got to go against the Kirby. I had Kirby taking a picture of my board as he walked out of the war room in Tuscaloosa. It still eats my craw. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And I'm gonna pull for TCU tonight. And if they win, I think Superman is gonna go to Prince's house and get some purple drawers.
Yeah, I agree. For some reason, just the feeling behind this TCU team, it's special, and you don't see runs like this. And as I stated, this was Georgia last year. They were going up against the big bad in Alabama. Stetson Bennett had this crazy story, but now I don't see anything different with the way that it's been going. And I'm gonna be a little honest, Stetson Bennett has kind of worn on me this year. The success and the winning has, in my opinion, gone to his head a little bit. And so he's lost that, in my opinion, underdog role with just kind of the way he's carried himself this year. No hate toward him, but it's just he's worn on me a little bit with some of his antics and the way he carries himself now.
Oh, he was cocky and arrogant. He was cocky and arrogant last year. He just now has the hardware to back it up. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, y'all have a blessed day. But hey, I'm calling for a boycott on all concessions tonight in California, and show them that the man with the cash is a man with a plan, and you can't keep beating the man with the cash down.
All right. Todd, you're in with the Martin Houston Show on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. Thank you for taking my call. I just got a couple comments here. One of the main ones was this incoming class. What Saban said about them was character, and to me that equals character equals mindset. He believes that these young people coming in, they have the right mindset to do what they need to do with their athletic ability, and so you made a comment previously about what changed your thoughts and your mindset on this team after you had one thought about the team after the Alabama game, and now it's different. So if you would elaborate on that, why has it changed? And I would like to for you to elaborate a little bit more on that.
My biggest thing, Todd, was I was concerned about the culture at Alabama. I knew we had talent. A lot of guys were leaving. I didn't see a lot of emotion out of this team. And I had always said it's going to be interesting to see how this Alabama team responds when they are not playing for a national championship and it's been kind of decided for a while, and how would their best players play. And the fact that all of the seniors played or the draft eligible guys played showed me that even though these guys are coming here, and Keon Keeley even said it, to go to the NFL, they also played and represented the jersey. So as a former player, I was proud of the way these guys represented that crimson jersey. So culture was good. Recruiting is still high. If we make a couple coaching changes, then I think Bama's right there where now we developed these guys, and Alabama's right back in the thick of it. That with the fact that Georgia did not blow out Ohio State, and Ohio State was missing for most of the game two of their offensive weapons and lost their main offensive weapon, that showed exactly what we did last year against them, where when we had both wide receivers, we made Georgia look pedestrian on the defensive side of the ball. Even though they were dominant defensively, they couldn't handle our dual wide receivers. Then when we only had one, we were still dominant. And Ohio State did that again. So it showed me that with the right attack and the right offensive scheme, you can do some things against this Georgia team. So that's what it is. X, I throw it to you.
Yeah, and I agree with all those points. Saying the Alabama the Army All-American game was on this weekend, and if you watch that game at all you saw was flashes of the future. Keon Keeley making big plays, Jans Pierre making big plays, Caleb Downs had an interception, Justice Haynes had a big run. So you're seeing the incoming talent, and that's what makes me feel better. That as it was stated, the culture's still good, the recruiting's still good. Now, can we develop and coach at that same high level that we have before? So that makes me feel comfortable in knowing that the future of Alabama is still in good hands.
Thanks, Todd. And Curtis Lewis said we had the best team in the country last year, but not the best coaching, and that's the difference. Everybody has players now, and we're going to see if anything changes with that. So thanks, Todd. Appreciate that, man.
Sure.
X, back to you, man.
Yeah, and do we still have Alan on the line?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Alan. How you doing this morning?
All right. I had a little story for you. First, I honest about Stetson Bennett. I don't like him either, but in order to shut him up, you gotta beat him. Like same way it was with Superman when he doesn't step doing the Superman thing in NFL. They didn't like him doing it. If you don't like him doing it, then you got to beat him and shut him up.
That's right.
But, I'm out here in California, and I am repping Alabama. Period. Point blank. Don't care if we're in there or not. I'm repping Alabama. I actually in LA right now, and I'm repping Alabama all the way.
Hey,
on the way out here.
Alan, did you see Minka's what Minka did?
I haven't seen any football this weekend.
Okay, I tweeted it out. So go to Mark M. Houston Speaks on Twitter and just click the link. A Georgia fan tried to put up two Georgia fans tried to put up a Georgia banner at the Pittsburgh Steelers game. Minka went over there, took the flag down, and threw it back into the stands to him.
I like that. I like that. Well, I was coming down the road. I was at a truck stop, and I was getting fuel. And lo and behold, I look up, and there's a Georgia truck coming in. I guess it's their equipment truck or whatever. It had Georgia players on the side of it, and it was just completely Georgia. And I'm just looking at him. You know what? I did not get out of that fuel lane. I don't care if he was late. I did my 30-minute break sitting right there in that fuel lane. I made him back up and go to the other side. I know that was petty, but it is what it is.
So you still got the trucks loaded up, ready for some moves?
What? I'm on my way back right now. Y'all just tell me where to go to first.
Hey, coming back on the other side, we may just do that, Alan. There's rumors that Pete Golding has two suitors making a bid for him, and so if one of those two suitors make a move, we may be looking to get you hired and loaded up. C. Lewis tweeted me over the weekend, said that he got his gas truck, so I guess he's gonna throw his truck in there with you.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Central don't want him, and County High don't want him either. So it's not gonna happen.
That is so bad, Alan. Hey, Alan.
Y'all do have a good.
You have a good one.
Hey, there's a lot of rumors flying around.
All right.
Thanks, Alan. Oh my goodness, that was pretty good, Alan. I have to give it to him of that one. Two suitors, and he said Central and County High, neither one wants him. That's pretty funny. Hey, coming back on the other side, we didn't get to everything we wanted to get to, but we definitely will talk about the college football playoff game, and we'll start some conversation around Pete Golding. We won't get into all of it. Will Pete Golding or Bill O'Brien be the first one announced that there's a change in the coordinator position, even though Bill O'Brien has not re-signed the contract, so he's currently not employed by the Alabama Crimson Tide by contract nature as far as it being extended. So we'll talk about that. We'll get your X and Joe's thoughts on the game, final thoughts on the game, and we'll do that as we close out the fourth quarter. That conversation and more coming up next.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Monday morning. Two bodies discovered within a few miles of one another Sunday morning in Foster. This triggered a major investigation. One body was found on Interstate 2059 East, another on nearby Frog Road. Investigating authorities with the Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit believe the two deaths are connected. A car believed connected to the incident was found abandoned in Haneyville. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with The Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb Series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you're telling that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing LLC.
Making a resolution to conquer your foot, knee, hip, or back pain this year? For over 30 years, the Good Feet Store's arch support system has helped people just like you improve performance and alleviate, even eliminate their pain. You too can feel the Good Feet difference. And for a limited time, get a free pair of premium shoes with a qualified purchase. That's a $140 value. Find your nearest Good Feet store at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Stop in today and start 2023 with your best foot forward.
With Taco Casa, it's not really fast food because it's made fresh every day in the store. The quality hasn't changed. The consistency hasn't changed because we haven't changed anything in the food. It's made fresh every morning in every restaurant. I think buzzwords in today's food industry are locally sourced and high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. Ariya not yet available for purchase. Expected availability late fall, subject to change.
See America in your new Burton Campers RV. Be certain with Burton. Burton Campers at exit 231 on I-65 in Calera. Nobody sells RVs for less.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Hi, Reggie.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier as we get ready to wrap up this Monday edition and get ready for the college football playoffs championship game, the final game of the season. But before we talk about predictions, you have Pete Golden getting some news about where he would potentially be in 2023. I know a lot of people think he's going to return to Alabama, but there is some news circulating around a possibility of him joining some former Alabama assistants at their new locations, and that is Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Interesting fits for him, or do you think he'll fit in well at either place?
Hey, Joe, let me ask you, Joe, is this Saban pushing, or do these guys know something that we don't? When you look at Pete Golding, because if I'm a head coach out there and I go, if this guy can't get it done in those big moments with the talent at Alabama, what is he going to do at my school? Unless I know some inside stuff that other people don't know.
I just think that Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin want a recruiter. He's an excellent recruiter. He's an A+ recruiter, and you never want to you always want to add more good recruiters to your staff.
Yeah, and I looked at it two ways, Joe, and actually I'll let you respond. Is Joe, you just nailed it. When you look at those programs, KPIs, they have good coaching, but they need more talent, right? So if recruiting is now, if they learn from Saban, recruiting is going to be one of their top KPIs. Pete Golding checks that box. But also, what have we heard about Pete Golding? He is a savant. He is a guru when it comes to understanding philosophy. And if you know how a coach limits another coach because you've been there and you're willing to give that guy free rein, maybe you know that he knows more. Maybe you know more about him and his ability than what we've even seen. And when I take those two things, I think that Pete Golding may be out of here. And of course, we know that Saban wants to bring Jeremy Pruitt and the coach from Wisconsin seem to be the two candidates that's out there that's hot. And we can talk more about that with DC on tomorrow. But Pete Golding, Pete Golding is definitely a guy that's up and got more interest and more conversation around him. We'll see what happens with that. Hey, let's get your thoughts and predictions on tonight's game. Final thoughts before the big game tonight.
Yeah, this is one of those things where my brain is telling me to go Georgia just because of how dominant that they have the potential to be. But for some reason, my heart's telling me to go with TCU. And so I'm going to pick the Horned Frogs in a fight, in a backyard brawl type of game. But I think TCU somehow pulls this out at the end.
Joe?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Georgia win, but I think TCU covers the 12.5 tonight.
Yeah, and I look at it, and I kind of feel like you, X. My mind says Georgia's clearly the most talented team, and could run away with this thing. But TCU has shown a lot of fight. I expect them to see. And we'll see what happens with that game tonight. I will not be disappointed if TCU wins, but I'm going logic here. Heart says TCU. Logic says Georgia. But if TCU wins the game, X, it's because their big wide receiver had a big game. And they could not do anything with Duggan at quarterback. Blind Squirrel Sports, who's a Georgia fan, says Dogs lose this game if they turn the ball over and fail to limit explosive plays by the Frogs offense. And they must not allow a lot of yards after the catch. So TCU definitely covers and may pull the shocker of the college football playoff era. So we'll watch it closely. And I know I haven't really picked anybody, but we'll talk about it tomorrow.
And Martin,
you see me dancing, Joe?
Yeah, make a stand, take a side.
Dog. Maybe that's my pick. Hey, I'm gonna do like all these other guys, Joe, that just be picking, and if it's right, they sound like they're really smart. Frogs in a win. The hypno frog pulls it out for the Horned Frog. TCU in a major upset.
I love it.
All right, hey, man. This has been the Martin Houston Show. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. We'll be adding DC to the conversation. And I may join Curtis Lewis and get me some of those purple underwear if TCU wins. So, hey, thank you guys for being part of the show. Hey, we got some great things coming for you in 2023, so stay tuned for more. Looking to help you all become even more part of the show, and we'll let you have more of those details as we get them ironed out. Hey, remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. For Joe Gaither, for Xavier Houston, I'm Martin Houston. Roll Tide out there, everybody, and have a blessed day, and we'll catch you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a broken water main on Greensboro Avenue that's really blocking the road all the way from Hargrove down to 26th. You can expect serious delays. I suggest you take 359 as an alternate route. Everything else looks good. If you see conditions, of course, give me a call. Get a great deal right now for your hometown deal.